I'm Collins Juma by name, software developer and also content developer. We have the academic side where now we do the training so that now we can equip you with the ICT skill set that you require in the industry. So we train you on various programs that I will show you shortly. So what are some of the training opportunities do we have? Data annotation is one of it. Data annotation basically involves image labeling. You're creating or rather labeling images using images so that now you can feed that data to ML models. ML is machine learning models. And then AWS Cloud. AWS Cloud. We are talking of cloud as a service and some of like virtual computers on the internet where it provides services such as storage, or rather sometimes you can see data centers. You've heard of data centers? Located in different regions. Cybersecurity, how do you secure information? How do you ensure that all this data you're having is more secured, preventing unauthorized access of this data? Software design and development. Underneath software design and development, we have web and mobile. How do you build mobile products that you can always put on your Play Store or rather upload on your Play Store and then someone else can always access?
So my name is Lydia Midimo, just like you have been told. I'm a researcher by profession. Zalego, we are a software development training institute. We have done this through various initiatives. We have gone to high schools. How we reach out to secondary school is by one of the ways is through the computer contest zenye tumekuwa tukifanya before COVID. So during computer contest, we see how we can support your ideas, see how we support students. One of the ways zenye tunafanya kunacha talent is by identifying your talent at a young age and seeing how we can nurture that talent pole pole. Technology is in every career and you can use it to improve the lives of people in that profession. Our mission is to bridge the skill gap and solve unemployment in our country. How do we want to solve unemployment in our country? One, we are creating what we call an ecosystem. We train you, we attach you, and then we intern you, and eventually we place you for job opportunity. But for only those who are qualified. One thing that Zalego is trying to do in the country today is we are trying to partner with so many IT companies. Just to give you an example of our programs, we have a skill discovery program. This is basically for primary school students. We also have that to the primary school level. We have skill pathfinding program, which is for the high school students, now you. And then we have ongoing, we have skill nurturing program. This is specifically for the students at university level. We are also partnering with universities. That is something that I also forgot to mention.
Mobile applications, we have Android, which are phones that run on the Android operating system. It's maintained by Google and that's the operating system. We have the iOS operating system. This, you can also develop mobile applications on this platform. And then we have cross-platform applications. That is applications that run both on Android and iOS phones. To develop anything, you need to know the language. For example, if you want to direct someone from here to town, you will use the English language or Kiswahili or Sheng, depending on how you want to instruct them. Kotlin is a language that we use in Android development. Another language that can be used is Dart or JavaScript. And that is a language used with the framework called Flutter. Android applications can be developed in Kotlin. And then we have Flutter as well. It is a framework that is used to develop mobile applications. Then finally, we have JavaScript, which is used with the framework React. Now, JavaScript and React combined together can be used to develop one application that will run both on Android and iOS. So if you use Kotlin, you will develop an application that runs on Android. If you use Flutter, also it's Android. But if you use React, Native, and JavaScript, you have an application that runs on both Android and iOS. After you become a mobile app developer, one, you can develop applications that you can put on Play Store, which is where most of you would get your applications from, like games, people click download. Inside it, there is some apps are premium, that is you have to pay to download it. Other applications have advertisements inside, so when a user clicks on that advertisement, Google will pay you based on the interaction of the users with that advertisement. So that's one way to take your career path. After you have become a mobile application developer, you become head of mobile development. I would say I am here right now. So you become a head of your own department. After that, you become a project or product manager. It's like mentoring now other, let's say beginner or intermediate developers. Another path that you can take if you do not like development, complete development, is UI UX designer. UI UX designer means you basically state or build how the application will look like. That is from the colors, from what will go where, something like that. For example, a house can be very functional. However, if it doesn't look appealing to the eye, or it's not designed in such a way that the user can easily access it, then there's no meaning of having a fully functional house, or it would have some defects. That's where the UI UX designer comes in. After becoming a UI UX designer, your next path will be a product manager. The final path is you decide that you don't want to develop just Android, you become a cross-platform developer. Cross-platform, that is using JavaScript and React Native. After that, after becoming a cross-platform developer, you go to head of mobile development and back to product or project manager.
In cybersecurity, we aim to achieve 3 things: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Okay? What you hear people saying as CIA. We have to protect customers' data. There's what you call personal identifiable information. There's personal health information. So with data, the rise of cybercrime has increased. Integrity, we want to make sure that if you get an A for KCSE, you don't get a D. So integrity, we are trying to protect data from any alteration, from any modification. And then availability, we need this data to be available. Here we use what we call LMS, Learning Management System. So you are at home, you are learning from online, from an online platform, and then you get online and you cannot be able to access that platform. You can imagine how many calls we are going to get at Zalego. Okay? So CIA, that is the achievement of, that is what we call objectives of cybersecurity. And remember, cybersecurity is not a geek thing. It is there to help organizations against threats. And then another thing that I would like you to go home with is what we call PPT, People, Process, and Technology. People, Process, and Technology. People are the users. People are the creators. We have IBM, they make up computers. We have Lenovo, Samsung, okay? Those are people who are creators and users, right? Then we have policies or processes that enable us to use these technologies, right? And then the technology itself that enables us to be able to share our resources around. Why should you learn cybersecurity? It's a new field. We have a shortage of 1.8 million skills across the world. But the biggest challenge is this, ni skills. Tuko na gap, but hakuna watu wa kufill because we don't have the right skills. And that is why we come in as Zalego and we offer hands-on. We have got hands-on platforms. So there are platforms that you can be able to practice practically, okay? Sahi ukikuja kwa interviews, we don't expect you to be blank. Kwa sababu kuna platforms na ni za bure that you can be able to use and play around. If it is hacking, there are platforms you can play around and hack. And eventually, the last point that I want, it's very dynamic and it changes very fast. Dynamic and changes very fast. What is the advantage of this? The advantage of this is whatever I'm learning right now is the same thing that you're learning. And then finally, I would like to talk on the different careers or the different cybersecurity areas that you as a student, you can be able to venture into. One is networks or network security, okay? And your work will be monitoring networks and ensuring that there are no malicious activities coming in through the network. And then we have digital forensics. Digital forensics, now it's investigating cybercrime. Okay? You're analyzing digital evidence. And then we have security engineering. This is coming up with secure designs. So when Collins is coming up with the software development team, they're coming up with a software, so they need to build a software that is secured. Okay? Software that will not leak information. And then we have computer security. Generally, this is ensuring or developing security programs and policies on how to use computer systems. Right? And then in it, there are other small careers that you can take. One is a pen tester or an ethical hacker. This is someone who has been authorized to go ahead and break into systems so that we can be able to protect. We have security analysts. These are guys now, kwa network, realize we are getting an attempt here logins from a particular IP address or from a particular region. So you want to analyze, okay? This IP address, is it from a malicious party? Okay? Those are analysts. Unaangalia code. Unaangalia where are the loopholes, right? That's the work of analysts. Again, we have cryptographers. These are guys who are coming up with algorithms that are used in encryption. Encryption ni kuchange plain text to ciphertext. Ciphertext ni gibberish. Yani nikisema leo tunaenda town, I can convert that and then inakuwa some gibberish ambayo hata ikikuwa intercepted mtu hawezi understand mpaka ajue kuifanya reverse.
So data science, but you know what is data? Who can tell me what is data? Yes, the facts that you can extract. These are raw facts that you can extract information from it. Who can give me examples of data? Video is a data set. What else? Images. There is need for people who can help us understand and get information from this data. So those people are what we call what? Data scientists or data analysts. So there is a lot of things that we do with a data set. Kama video, you can unaweza patiwa data set uambiwe hii data set tunataka kujua price. Tunataka kujua price in the next 20 years. We want to know the price of this item in the next coming years. How is the stock prices? How is the weather? Based on this weather, can you project for us in the next coming 5 months? How will the weather be? You see? These are the kind of information that needs to be extracted. These are the kind of information that somebody like you can work on it, and it is very simple. This is very interesting field because why this field is very interesting? Because you can work in hospital without you being a doctor. You can work in banks without you being studying what? Finance. So it's very interesting and it is upcoming. This one is an emerging field in the 21st century. And actually, this is what the many companies has now come to appreciate. Why? They have come to appreciate that these are very important people in their society. To be a data scientist is very simple. You need to love mathematics. It will be very simple for you to maneuver in this part. So in this field, there are so many things that you can learn. In summary, that is just a brief introduction of what data science is.
It's basically creation of web pages. That's what web development involves. So, but ideally, we have now the software development. So because some web pages are not just websites, some have more functionality other than just clicking like 5 pages. So that's now where we have now software. So software basically is the development, the process of conceiving, specifying, designing, programming, documenting, testing, and bug fixing in order to create now what you're able to see when you search online, right? So whatever that whole software development is, there's normally a process that it undergoes. So whenever we are creating any software, there's normally the first stage, which is the requirement gathering phase. So this is the phase where you go and now gather requirements from the users. So then after now you've gathered those requirements, now you get to the designing phase. So the designing is now based on those requirements that you have gathered. So for example, you are building a a system where students can be able to, once they're in school, they can check their results, be able to query for some stuff from the teachers or something. So you come now to the design phase. So the students have said we want a system where we can view our grades. We can consult a teacher maybe when we are at home. So now you come and design. So we have now the front face part of it, what you actually see when you log in into a system. And then we have now the back end. Those are now the two parts of any system, the front end and the back end. So the front end is when you log into maybe the Lego Academy. What you see on that, what you see or what you view, that's the front end part of it, okay? Then now, what you'll see the buttons, you'll see maybe the names, the icons, maybe a place to click, start or log in. So how they'll be designed, how they'll be structured into that software, maybe the location, the structure, and the organization or the flow of it. We have that part is part of the design process. So at times you find our website is very cluttered, right? And then you say it doesn't look very appealing. Then you go to another website and instantly get engaged with it because of how appealing it is, how easy it is to navigate. All that is because of the design. Then afterwards, you have now the implementation, which now mostly involves now the back end of it. So each of these phases have different people who do them. So we have, under the design, we'll also have the database architecture, where you can be able to store the data that users of that software will be able to insert their data and it's stored within it. So now the implementation is, we have gotten that the users want a system to view the results while they're in school. We have the design, how it will look. So maybe the front page, we have an icon to log in. After that, it should direct us maybe to my class page or my portal. When I open it, I should be able to view my grades. So how does the system know that after I've clicked the login button, directly take me to my portal? And how will it know that this portal is specifically mine and not like Collins's portal, right? So that process in between there, before you get from the login page to the portal, there's a process that is happening there. That's now what takes place during the implementation. Whatever design you had, you actually now use the different programming languages, which my colleague will talk about, to implement or to code. So in school, you've done something to do with control structures and flowcharts. So that is the beginning of your web development or your software development life journey. If you get to understand it right now while you're in school, once you get out now into campus, you'll have a very easy time when it comes to the implementation. You normally write those pseudocodes right now, right? So now when you come outside, like when you come to the Lego, you're now taught the programming language. So those pseudocodes, you'll now transform them using the programming language to become what you eventually see on a website. Okay. Yeah, so it's that pseudocode that is transformed using a programming language to what you eventually see. That's the implementation. Then now we have the review. So what happens in the review and testing is at times you find some softwares have bugs or they are easily accessible to hackers, or when you do a certain activity, it doesn't give you what you're actually requesting it to do. Maybe you tell it to log in. Instead of logging in, it redirects you back to the initial page you started from, right? So the review and testing is ensuring there are no such instances that if I click on login, it should directly take me to the portal and not take me to the home page again. Then now we have the deployment. Deployment is now basically taking the project or the software from your local machine now to be accessible to maybe someone in Kisumu, someone in Mombasa, without through the internet. That's what deployment involves. Then maintenance is the regular checkup to ensure that that software remains up to date and with the latest technologies that are needed in the market, right?
So hello again, my name is Victor Allen Wigwa. I'm a software developer here at Zalda, where you are at 6th floor, but still under the Lego Academy. So I'll be taking you through some of the technical part of what involves software development, specifically on the design part and implementation. So my colleague Stacy has talked about the software development cycle, known as SDLC. So in those steps, there is that part where we are talking about the designs. India. On Instagram, when you go to www.instagram.com, India, there is that homepage that appears India. So most of the time, if you're not logged in, there's usually a place where you fill in your credentials India. And there's usually a logo for Instagram, where you can input your names, your password, and then a button to log in India. So for that web page to come, it had to be designed by somebody who is majorly the front-end developer in most cases, which we're going to be talking about. Now, in the front-end part, in the design phases of software development life cycle, in the design phase, we have somebody called a UX or UI developer. So for that person, his work or her work is to design or come up with mock-ups or rough sketches of how various parts of our website should appear. So for example, we've talked about Instagram, right? So Instagram, there is that page. You have a logo somewhere, maybe in the middle, Cindy. The form in the middle also. And also whereby you ask for either your number or your email address, right, Cindy? And also your password and a small button, Cindy. But you can also see in that design part, there are consistencies whereby you're using various types of colors in here. And you'll find majorly it's usually three primary colors. So from the design phase, once the designer has made the mock-ups and everything, what they do next is pass the design. Once it has been approved, it is passed to the front-end developer. So the front-end developer's work is to take those designs and implement them on a website, the front view of what you see. And for that to happen, the front-end developer has to have a set of skills or know some programming languages in order to implement that web page. And for here, we have those basics ones, which are HTML. I'm very sure most of you have heard of it in there. So that's majorly is usually the skeleton of an application, whereby you can have a button, an input field. Maybe you can be having error messages somewhere in there. That's also part of the designing, okay? So HTML is used as the skeleton of those major components. And then we have CSS, which is cascading style sheets for styling a web page in there. So you can see those colors, the way forms have rounded corners or edges, different colors to the background color, images, all those things in there. They are styled in a specific way. Yani yon ile kuongeza roiko chumvi to our website looks like in there. And then there's JavaScript. So JavaScript is majorly for interactivity of the website. So when like you hover on a button, some of them change colors in there. The mouse cursor can change to a pointer. Ili inakanga something like this. In there. Or when you click on the button, what happens in there? Sometimes you can have an error message. Sometimes you can be told you're logged in successfully in there. All that. So those three are the languages, three of them that form the major components of the website. Okay. Further moving on, when you're collaborating with other developers, you also have to involve some version control systems. And this, for example, the most popular one is called Git or GitHub in there. So for GitHub, what usually happens if you are collaborating, let's say with developer A in Nairobi and another developer in Mombasa, they have to share the same code at some point in there. So they use such a versioning system like GitHub. And sometimes you'll want to have productivity, which is slightly faster and easier when you're building those components. And this is where frameworks come in. So for the different various languages, for example, for front-end frameworks, whereby JavaScript is usually the primary target, we have React, we have, what else? Angular, and also Vue. Those are the three primary ones. So next, we'll move to the backend developers. So these backend developers, they're the ones who usually form, or as they are called, the architectures of how a system behaves behind the scenes. So these are the guys who usually look into the logic of, let's say, for example, when you log into a website, how do you take those details, go and verify them on a server, retrieve your details from a database, and then log you in. Or when you log in into Instagram, there are those images, comments, likes, that come from somewhere, So they are the ones who help to convey or bring this information from a database somewhere, bring it to a server, process it, and then display it on the front end. Okay. So most of these backend developers, they usually focus and collaborate with the front-end developers, the database administrators, and everyone. And for the skill set or the tools that you need to become a backend developer, there are so many, but the major languages, for example, if you can see here, we have Java, there's PHP, Python, C, and JavaScript. And as we mentioned before in the front-end frameworks, there are also back-end frameworks that you can utilize. So for Java, we have like Spring Boot. For PHP, the major and popular one is Laravel, although there are also many. For Python, we have Django and Flask. C# we have .NET Core. And then for JavaScript, you have Node and Express.js. Sawa. And then moving on, what are the career fields in software development? So you had heard Stacy mentioning about people being involved in the software development life cycle. But as you start your journey from maybe a junior developer and move on to furthering your success, in software development, we've talked about the front end and the back end. Sindio. In the front end, we have also mentioned somebody called a UIX developer, the one who usually designs those mockups and everything. And then we have the person who implements these designs. So from there, you can also branch to become a senior developer, a product manager who is now the head who owns the product that you're making. Same to UX design. And when you come to backend development, now here is where you have a wide variety of people. So a backend developer is majorly somebody who's general, can do most of the stuff. An API developer is the one who builds like applications that interact with another application in another system. For example, we can use the most basic one, the way you use M-Pesa in there. So M-Pesa, whether you're using it on your phone or on the internet when you are paying for something on the website, this is the person who is involved there to enable interactions between different applications and platforms.